Hi everyone and welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Today's video is going to be a no makeup look. This is one of those looks that I think that everyone should have in their beauty arsenal. It's great for those days that you want to feel really good. You don't want it to look like you're wearing a lot, if any, makeup. So great for those days that you don't have a lot of time. This makeup look can be done in 5, 10, 15 minutes at a maximum, so it's great for those days that you don't have any time and you want it to look like you've just rolled out of bed. Before we get started, if you do like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So I've already prepped my skin by moisturising, and today I use the Origins Ginseng Ultra Hydrating Energy Boosting Cream. This is a great, really hydrating cream, perfect for those days when your skin is looking a little bit tired, dull, and making it look a little bit more fresh, a bit more awake than perhaps you might feel, which I'm definitely in need of today. I'm going to move on to primer, and I'm going to use this NYX Bear With Me Radiant Perfecting Primer. This actually does look quite scary when you first get it out of the tube. It looks almost like a highlighter, but when you put it on the skin, it's really natural and gives you that sort of glowy look. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of it. I'm going to dot this over my face. But you can already see the sort of glowy effect that it has, and then you start working it in and it just gives you that gorgeous sort of shine. I'm going to move on to foundation, and today I'm going to be using my Bourjois 123 Perfect CC Cream. It's actually a really good medium coverage foundation, so I think it's great for a look like this, which means that you don't have to use as much of the product, but you're going to get a better coverage than you would if you used a lighter weight product but you had to use more of it. So it's sort of like a trade up. Would you prefer to use a lighter weight product but have to use a bit more of it if you have more to cover up, or would you prefer to use a more medium weight coverage foundation and then not use as much of it, so it's going to look a little bit more natural than it might do if you had more product on your skin? I personally would lean towards having a little bit more coverage but using less of the product. That is why I love this Bourjois CC cream. Not only that, but it's super hydrating and it looks really natural on the skin. It's got a lovely finish. I'm just going to use a tiny bit. I'm going to take it on my Bobbi Brown full coverage face brush. Tiny bit onto the back of my hand. Now this is the kind of look that I personally like to start off with not a lot and then build up. I'm going to concentrate the product on the center of my face because that's typically where we need the most coverage. I definitely do. And that way it's not going to look like I have a mask of makeup on. I make sure I take it a little bit down my neck just to make sure I don't have any lines. I'm going to go very gently over my eyelids as well, just to neutralize the color on my eyelids. So with a no makeup look, I often find that you don't want to cover up everything. So in that case, you're gonna have to be okay with not covering up every blemish, not covering up every imperfection. If a few of my blemishes are showing through, then that's just, you have to embrace it, to be honest with you. I'm gonna cover up a few of them with some concealer, but I'm not gonna cover up everything because that would defy the very natural look we're going for. I really like this CC cream because it's really buildable. Moving on to concealer, I'm gonna use my L'Oreal Total Cover Full Coverage Longwear Concealer Palette. The reason I have chosen a full coverage concealer is because, a little bit like my foundation, it's gonna give me more coverage for less product. So I don't have to use as much product, but I'm gonna be able to cover up those blemishes. It's a very well loved palette. I'm going to take this colour to cover up imperfections on my skin, any blemishes, the dark circles around my eyes, for which I have particularly bad ones. So I'm just going to take my finger and pop it where I need it. I'm not going to go very close to my lash line. I want to try and stay away from that, particularly in the inner corner of my eye, because there's a lot of movement in that area. So you don't want to add loads of product which is going to crease in those fine lines, because that is going to make it even more obvious that you're wearing makeup. So I'm going to stay away from that area. And I'm also going to add a tiny bit to the outer corner of my eyes to cover up a little bit of redness that I have there, a bit of discoloration. The warmth from my finger is actually really helpful in blending the product into my skin and giving you a really natural finish. I'm also going to take a tiny bit over my lids to neutralise those veins that I have on my lids. I really do love those L'Oreal concealers for great coverage, but just of super natural finish. Take a clean MAC 217, so a fluffy blending brush. I'm just going to take a little bit on any areas of the face that I need it. Once I've got my concealer in place, I'm going to take a damp beauty blender and I'm just going to go over the layer that I've created just to set it in place. And also the damp beauty blender will just pick up any excess product. I find that really helps to set it and give a really natural finish. I need to give my face a little bit more shape and dimension. I'm going to use my NARS Laguna bronzer, and this is in a little duo set which you can see has been very well loved, with NARS Orgasm as a blush, which I'm going to use in a little bit, and a small fluffy brush. And then I'm taking a lot of the product off on the back of my hand, and then I'm just going to put it into the hollows of my cheeks. So you have a big bone right here, your cheekbone, and then I'm going to put it right underneath that cheekbone, starting at the hairline. Then I'm going to make sure it's all blended out. And I'm going to take the same brush and I'm going to go really close to my hairline, just to give a little bit of shape over my forehead. I'm just going to take what's left of on my brush over my eyelids. It's a really great trick if you're in a hurry, don't have a lot of time to do a separate eyeshadow look, just use your bronzer. We need blush. NARS Orgasm, gorgeous pink shade with beautiful gold undertones, which just is a really naturally healthy flush to the skin. I'm going to take a tiny blush brush. It's that gorgeous sort of really youthful, playful, naturally flushed, pretty look. What's left on my brush I'm just going to go over my eyes with. Not precise at all, I brush for it, so not going for precision. I'm going to move on to brows, and I'm just going to brush them through with my Benefit Goof Proof Brow Pencil. Brush them up and through. I think this also helps me to see the shape that I need to fill in. To fill my brows in, I'm going to take MAC Omega on a MAC 266 brush, so it's just a tiny angled liner brush. MAC Omega is great for the brows because it's got that grey undertone, which I really like for my brows. Powder's great for creating that kind of natural brow shape, just because I think it's much softer than some pencils. So I'm just focusing on the outer corner, and then I have a few gaps that I need to fill in the front, so really lightly with small flicking motions just to mimic the hairs. I'm going to fill in my brows at the front. That's done. I'm just going to set them in place with my Benefit Brow Gel. Next up, I'm going to do a tiny trick to make my eyes look a little bit more awake. So I'm taking one of my favourite palettes. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk palette. On a tiny fluffy brush, I'm going to take the shimmer shade here, so it's the prime shade. I'm going to take a tiny bit of that on a fluffy brush, tap out the excess on the back of my hand, and then I'm just going to add this to the centre of my eye, picking up, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I'm just picking up the natural highlight of my eye, just where the light's catching it. It's just that tiny gesture, just somehow makes your eyes look brighter and more awake. So I don't know if you're going to pick it up on camera, but I promise you in real life it looks just that lovely kind of bright-eyed effect. I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm Laura Mercier eyelash curler. Then I'm going to use Benefit's They're Real. It's really good for separating the lashes to give a really natural effect, which is perfect for this makeup look. Focusing the application on the roots of the lashes. I'm not pulling it through the lashes as much as I normally would. And then on the outer corner, I'm just going to flick it out. I'm going to kind of drag out the lashes just to naturally open and elongate the eye. I'm going to use a tiny bit of highlighter to give my skin back that natural shine that I really love. I'm using this Collection Speedy Highlighter. It is a great dupe for the Clinique Chubby Sticks highlighters. And because I want to keep this as natural as possible, I'm actually going to take a small fluffy brush and I'm going to take it straight from the products. And then I'm going to go right onto the high points where my skin naturally catches the light. And I'm just going to tap it out with my finger. I'm also going to put a tiny bit of this onto my Cupid's bow. To set my skin, I'm going to use the MAC Prep and Prime Transparent Powder. This is great if you want to set everything in place without adding a lot of product. A small powder brush, very lightweight powder as well, which is great for what we want to achieve. I'm going to tap it off onto the back of my hand. Before I put it onto my skin, just to make sure there are no creases, I'm going to run my ring finger under my eye, just to get rid of any creases that might have happened while I was doing my makeup. And then I'm going to go straight in to set my under eye concealer. So I'm just adding the powder to the areas of the face that I know tend to wear makeup throughout the day, and also any places that I've covered up blemishes, just so it has a little bit more staying power. I'm going to take my Kiehl's Butter Stick in Simply Rose. It's quite bright, but I'm going to blend it out, so I'm going to pop it straight onto my lips. And then straight away with my finger I'm going to blend it. So it's just giving your lips that gorgeous, your lips but better hydrated finish. And once you've blended it out, it looks really natural, even though the colour is a little bit stronger. So this is the final look. Great for those days where you want to look like you haven't made an effort, but you want to feel put together and beautiful, because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. So I really hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you very soon with my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!